Alright, lock in because today I'm going to be reacting to some total drama hot takes and unpopular opinions. So yeah, this series is going to be a mainstay. I'm always going to be on the lookout for hot takes and unpopular opinions to make these videos with. So yeah, that's how it's going to be. Time to get in here. Let's go. First up, World Tour Heather shouldn't have reached the finale. Well, this sounds amazing, not gonna lie. World Tour Heather, and just Heather in general, is very overrated because of the idea that she had this redemption arc in this season when that just wasn't the case. I broke down why in a couple of videos, but that's not the topic at hand here. But yeah, if she didn't make the final, she wouldn't be so overrated. She wouldn't be getting the praise that other characters should be getting for getting a real redemption arc. So it would have been nice if she didn't make the finale. But in life, I learned that you can't just say a problem. There has to be a solution. And while Heather making the final wasn't my first choice, I mean, there's no one else in that in-game stretch that really deserved to be a finalist either. So yeah, Heather probably didn't deserve to make it there, but neither did Sierra or Cody. So whatever, it is what it is. It doesn't really matter all that much. Next, MK is better than Bowie when it comes to villainy and enjoyability. Really hot take here for sure, but I actually agree with it, definitely. I rewatched season 1 of The Revival lately, and while Bowie is sort of propped up to be sort of devious, I wouldn't really say that he was the villain of that season. The villain was Julia. I wouldn't even say that Bowie was all that villainous, really. He just played the game in a very strategic, cutthroat way, I would say, which is kind of similar to Alejandro, but Bowie wasn't villainous for a whole season run, just 1 or 2 moments, while MK was more fun. I found the confessional spying storyline to be way more interesting than anything Bowie had going on. Also, her and Julia's cheating scandal and rematch was way more villainous and entertaining than anything that Bowie was involved in. I feel the original plan for Bowie was for him to be a villain, but that never quite happened. So that's why in one of my way videos, I'm working on making that happen. But yeah, this is actually a really nice take here. Next up, Priya going far in rematch wasn't bad. I wish this was expanded on more. I'm firmly on the side of no, she should not have gone far in rematch, but hey, maybe I could change my mind with more information, with an actual case that she should have gone far. But yeah, the reason why she should not have gone far in rematch was because well, they only had 2 seasons to work with. Maybe if they had a 3rd season, she could make a deep run again, but this 2nd season should have been mostly about getting the lesser characters more plot relevance. The reason why some players had disappointing seasons all revolved around the plot armor that this prelude couple was given. Players that really could have been something in this season fell victim to prelude. They had some bonkers eliminations just to propel them further into the game. And the big problem with Priya is that she's a screen hog, but she's only sharing the screen with 1 or 2 characters. Millie in season 1 and Caleb in rematch. If your favorite character isn't attached to Priya, then that's probably a bad sign for them. And even if they are, everything that they have to say is gonna be about Priya. This is the main thing that I counter with when people say, you're a hypocrite if you like Julia being in all 26 episodes, but you don't like Priya being in all of those episodes. Julia was actually an entertaining character and had multiple relationships and dynamics with all of the players, unlike Priya, where she only talked to Caleb, and that storyline overstayed its welcome for sure. It was never an apples to apples comparison, more of an apples to oranges comparison, because it's just different situations. I explained, Julia's talking to everyone, Priya's only talking to Caleb and Millie. Same type of response if this card gets played for Duncan and Owen. Duncan was an interesting character that always brought drama. Owen just farted all the time. It's not the same thing at all. But yeah, at the end of the day, Priya had enough time to shine in the previous season and she won. There's nothing left for her. Let someone else get a storyline. Let someone else get some spotlight. Definitely shouldn't have made it to the final 4 for sure. Next up, Courtney had a better strategy than Heather, and this is talking about in the seasons that they were the main antagonists for, in Island and Action. Well, it's really tough to say, not gonna lie. Heather's strategy, while entertaining at points, it was so bad because she got everyone against her and had to scrape by a lot on luck, I'm not gonna lie. Especially in those episodes where they didn't hold the vote. while Courtney, on the other hand, she got her lawyers involved in the game and she couldn't be voted out, like no matter how annoying she was. I guess it's a better strategy, like she got to like around the same spot that Heather got to with a much smoother ride there, but it is cheating, like no one else had access to the ridiculous privileges that Courtney got. Courtney's strategy was probably better, but it's not like anything to write home about. Next, Harold versus Lindsay would have been a better finale, assuming this is talking about total drama action. This isn't even a hot take, it's more of a cold take. It's something that's quite a common opinion. They were the best developed characters in action, and while that doesn't always guarantee a spot in the finale, it's at least a reason why I'd want them to make the finale over someone like Beth. It doesn't even have to be Lindsay and Harold in the final, like just get Beth out of there in the final would have been more satisfying. But yeah, true, but not a hot take. Next, Millie was the best character from the revival seasons. Well, this is certainly a hot take. I would say no, not at all. She came in with an interesting goal that was really out there, like trying to study why her generation is a failure. But she's a failure herself, just complaining about everyone else's flaws while not checking her own, and ultimately getting carried through season 1 by Priya. Then in rematch, she learned absolutely nothing and was still a huge jerk. Now, the line about crossing the finish line was funny, but like she didn't last long enough in rematch to make like a big impact, I would say. So no, Millie was not the best character of the revival seasons, like far from it, actually. I believe in my character rankings for revival, I had her as the worst character, and if not that, definitely in the bottom 3 with her friends, with Priya and friends. So like, yeah, that's not changing. Very bad character. Next up, World Tour is one of the worst seasons. Not gonna lie, this is a hot take for the sake of having a hot take. Really would have been nice if there was more of an explanation attached. Now, something that I can give to this take is that sometimes World Tour is an overrated season, and that's mostly because of Heather and like people trying to make her a bigger character than what she was, and like say that she went on or like had a redemption arc in that season when like that just wasn't the case. That's only an idea, not necessarily what happened. This season is talked about as if it's the pinnacle of total drama, but I can't really have it at number 1 because like the season lost steam when Gwen got eliminated and it kind of just like limped to the final. Like those weren't interesting episodes after Gwen got eliminated. But with that being said, it's still a top 3 season of total drama behind Total Drama Island 2007 and Total Drama Island Revival, like season 1. Next, Jurassic Fart and Sunday Muddy Sunday are far from the worst episodes in media. Plenty of shows have far worse episodes. Well, it would have been nice if those shows were said. Speaking of other shows that are probably worse, staying with the Cartoon Network theme, I haven't watched this show in a while, so like maybe it's not the most accurate thing to say, but I remember not liking this show called Chop Socky Chook, so like there's one. Probably could find some bad episodes in there. Another Cartoon Network show that I haven't given a watch since summer 2016, but I am gonna say like maybe Powerpuff Girls 2016 has some bad episodes in there. Of course, I've got to like rewatch it, but I'm just like throwing like something out there, I would say. Also, talking about another animated show, while this show has a goated theme song, The Nut Shack probably has some episodes that are worse than these total drama episodes. So yeah, a bad episode of total drama is probably like decent compared to everything else, because like at the end of the day, it's total drama, like one of the greatest franchises. Well, I wouldn't say ever, like that's hyperbolic, but yeah, like total drama, it's like a really nice show. But just sticking to total drama here, about Jurassic Fart, definitely the worst episode of Revival season 1, but like that's it. Probably not the worst episode of total drama, because Action and All Stars had some terrible ones. And for Sunday Muddy Sunday, this is an episode that is like always talked up as the worst episode of total drama, but to me, like it doesn't really matter at all. Like the final 6 episodes of All Stars are the worst episodes of total drama, and like they're all interchangeable to me. Like all of them have a case to be the worst episode in the series. I'm not a Courtney fan at all, more of an Alejandro and like Duncan fan. So I lean towards not liking those episodes more where they got eliminated, but realistically, like they all have a similar level of quality. Next, in rematch, episode 10 onwards is the best stretch of the season. So this starts with circling the drain. I'm just gonna say no, like not at all. This is actually the point in the season like where it started to lose steam because the MK and Julia connection that really made the first half of rematch just wasn't a thing in the stretch of the season because MK got eliminated in the episode prior. Also, this is when the prelude on again, off again drama started to ramp up, and Priya was so annoying in the stretch. Really unfortunate that she had to make it all the way to the final four. There was definitely some fun to be had in the stretch, like Julia versus Damien, Wayne and Raj's shenanigans in the K9 episode, and like the final was good, but it definitely wasn't the best stretch of the season. And the only reason why I rated these episodes somewhat high was because my favorite character was making it through the game, like going further in the game. If it wasn't for Julia, then I just wouldn't really care about any of these episodes, not gonna lie. Final take of the day. Total Drama Island is the most boring season. This is definitely a hot take on the surface level, but it's not as hot when the word boring is emphasized. Not a bad season, just a boring season, which I wouldn't really agree with at all, but like I definitely see the case. Season 1 was a slower season that focused more on the relationships between players, especially like these one-on-one relationships and rivalries, like Gwen versus Heather, Gwen and Bridget, Gwen and Jeff, Gwen and Lashana, Duncan and Lashana, Duncan and Courtney, and much more. The relationships were at the forefront in this season, and like it was the most tame and grounded season out of all of them. Then when it gets to the later seasons, the show gets a bit more like wackier, I'd say, which doesn't necessarily correlate to them being more entertaining for me, but like I think I really see where this take is coming from, but like it's not the worst take in the world, although like I wouldn't necessarily agree. Like I see the logic behind it if like I'm getting it all right, because these takes like they don't really have like deep explanations attached. They're just like one sentence, but like yeah, I think I understand where this take is coming from. But yeah, those are the hot takes for this video. Gonna look for some more. It'll be really nice if I could just find a list and like react to it and like make a whole video around someone's list of hot takes. But like yeah, that is all for now. Stay strong, stay brutal, because above all else, it's anything to win.
I won't let you down, Bruce. I'll keep fighting. Always.